This is what stochastic terrorism looks like. No exaggeration whatsoever, as over 40% of Tesla owners report having had their vehicles vandalized. And amongst younger owners, the already ludicrous number is even higher at 61%. Well over half of younger owners have had their vehicles intentionally damaged. And this is, unquestionably, no doubt whatsoever, caused by a campaign of, well, straight up hatred from the usual tolerant left against Tesla, who have, over the last year or two, become one of the premier hate targets for the progressive movement due to the actions, of course, of Tesla's founder and one of primary owners, Elon Musk. And it is genuinely difficult to exaggerate the scale of all of this. Just as I was getting ready to make this video, I just googled Tesla vandalism, and here we have a case an hour old. Tesla owner returns a baffling scene in parking lot. I don't even understand the logic. As you can see here, there's a long, and very clearly deliberate line scratched into the paintwork of the Tesla. Again, I stress, this story is less than an hour old. You've got several more examples, of course. Gwinnett County woman charged for shooting Tesla dealership with a BB gun, causing $20,000 in damages. Man arrested for possible arson after Tesla Cybertruck set on fire at Mesa dealership. And it's usually the kind of people you would be expecting. Lipstick-wearing suspect charged in Tesla GOP office arson attack in New Mexico. Crimes have consequences. With this being our stunning and brave individual fighting the fascists that have so clearly conquered America. There's a rather widespread mental disorder, both in the US and in the EU, that has currently been triggered into full-blown action by both the mainstream media and even more so by social media influencers who unironically use the verbiage that America is now under de facto fascist occupation and that Donald Trump is gonna come for them all. And they are lashing out in an impotent way against the only thing they can target, as this guy ain't going to be leading any resistance cells anytime soon, let's say, and that's cars, parked and unguarded, owned by people who have no involvement in any of this nonsense whatsoever. So, looking back here, over 2 in 5 Tesla owners, 44%, reported experiencing intentional damage to their vehicle, like keying or slashed tires, costing them an average $1,900 in repairs. Tesla owners in the South are 46%, and more than twice as likely to report vandalism compared to those in the Northeast, West, and Midwest. Nearly 3 in 4 Tesla owners, 72%, believe they are more likely to be targeted for vandalism than other drivers. And over 3 in 5 Tesla owners say that insurance premiums have increased by an average of $340 annually, and 53% expect another hike this year. And of course, because, again, nobody thinks this is casual or random or anything like this. Nobody thinks this is organic or anything. The insurance companies sure as shit don't. They don't think this is a random spat of strange people walking around keying cars for no reason. No, everybody knows this is a political action. Everybody knows this is stochastic terrorism, targeted against people who, well, many of whom were their allies many years ago. Many who probably bought a Tesla specifically to virtue signal about them giving a shit about the environment, etc. And the numbers get even worse. Younger Tesla drivers seem to face the most hostility. 61% of Gen Z owners said their car had been vandalized. That's nearly twice the rate of the older generation. They also spent the most on repairs, averaging $2,113. Millennials and older drivers, by comparison, paid closer to $1,730. So, if you, as a member of this particular in-group, as a young environmentalist, and young people do tend to lean progressive, of course, bought a Tesla, then you are more likely to be vandalized by your brothers and sisters, simply because they now view the T on the Tesla as the modern-day equivalent to the Virgin windmill. Entirely reasonable, no doubt. And I do hope, incidentally, that this will clue in some of the members of this cult that perhaps they actually have been brainwashed. Perhaps simply just deciding to buy cars or brands based entirely upon the communal consciousness of your political party, who changes its opinion virtually monthly and can't even decide what a woman is not the best decision. Perhaps this in fact might be reflective on the long-term planning capabilities of progressivism in general. You know, this could actually be a valuable wake-up call. Hold on, a couple of years ago, this was the best thing you could do. You were actively evil if you didn't drive an electric car, and now you're evil if you do. How could this ideology ever run anything, or promise any sort of advancement or stability whatsoever? I hope that is a takeaway that a lot of people will get from this, but, well, we'll see, shan't we? So, beyond physical damage, 43% of Tesla owners said that they've received rude gestures or negative comments from strangers whilst behind the wheel, and 66% feel anxious leaving their car unattended, with 60% saying concerns over vandalism or insurance have led them to drive less or avoid certain areas entirely. So even the drivers know the kind of areas that they're likely to be getting their Tesla keyed in. I wonder what kind of areas these could conceivably be. Park near university campuses, perhaps. I wouldn't be too surprised there. And this is having some of the intended effect, as stochastic terrorism is, of course, intended, like all terrorism is, to change people's minds via threats, violence, and fear, in essence. With some owners second-guessing their Tesla purchase. 1 out of 5 Tesla owners regret their purchase, whereas 1 in 3 Tesla owners wouldn't choose Tesla again. So it is having an effect, as it unsurprisingly does. The reason why the left has used force so much through its rise over the last 10-20 years, and fear, of course, through cancel culture, through stochastic terrorism like this, through the threat of having your livelihood destroyed, getting fired, getting cancelled from social groups, having your very friends disown you over things you say over social media, is obviously because threats are effective. Of course, we've known this for tens of thousands of years. And, well, the thing is, our society had gotten so nice, so gentle, frankly, that most of us had forgotten about this. The old ideas of the loyal opposition, for example, of gentlemen's agreements, of working together for the betterment of the entire nation. Politics genuinely had happened into a surprisingly decent spot there for a while. But all gentlemen agreements, all systems based on a degree of mutual respect and faith in one another, cannot survive those who will simply cynically exploit the system for their own gains, which is the very definition of progressivism. Now, this has already led to plummeting sales of Teslas. Now, this is for one more reason other than just the stochastic terrorism, mind you. It is also that Elon Musk himself, this is a hole he dug for himself years and years ago, as Elon too has been of a bit of a eco-warrior in the past, and virtue signaling to these very same group of people. And, like everyone else, frankly, that has ever appealed to progressive movements, progressive people, and balding men wearing purple lipstick, it has not proven to be a wise investment. One would really genuinely think that a pattern would be readily visible here to pretty much every single corporation on Earth, and hey, they do seem to have started getting the message, at least to a certain degree, but Tesla is right now undergoing what every company is going to have to undergo, and that is a backlash from the people that it itself courted. Which incidentally is why we're going to see most companies not take quite as radical U-turn as Elon Musk has. Most companies are probably going to, as I mentioned on several occasions before, slowly turn around, continuing to offer platitudes to their progressive customer base even as they move in a more and more conservative direction. This is, I guarantee you, what we're going to see in entertainment, with companies like Disney, for example, that have already seen that traditional entertainment aimed actually towards families, rather than preaching to them about how their kids might be gay or trans, it sells better. The left has never been able to move the needle, and it has taken 10 years to fully hammer that lesson home into the various financial minds of the world. But I think the nail is finally starting to stick, and if it hasn't stuck already, then surely statistics like these ought to push it over the edge. Even though there is also, of course, the other potential possibility that the companies will think, I don't want to be exposed to actual unironic terrorism. And well, what the Trumphalophagus should do, as he is already to some degrees doing, is of course pointing this out for what it is, declaring it to be terrorism, because it is. Not in the usual sense, not in the sense of a religion that we've gotten so used to, but it is terrorism. However, punishing the individuals who do this, albeit obviously necessary, because you're not supposed to be vandalizing other people's property, is not going to solve it. What actually does need to happen is a crackdown on the people who signal this, because stochastic terrorism is, of course, a form of terrorism carried out by the masses without a real understanding of what they're doing or for what cause, against a group that is at best loosely defined. It is a vague form of terrorism that can easily be denied by both sides, both for the useful idiots who genuinely don't know why they're doing this. They're simply feeling a maddened sense of upset rage at seeing a Tesla, which I guarantee you is exactly what this person felt. And from the people who are sending out the messaging, the mainstream media, for example, who can deny, oh, we're just reporting things, we're just editorializing, to the countless social media influencers who, well, they sure as shit know what they're doing, but proving it is far more difficult. It's going to have to be a problem that the Trumphalophagus will have to crack down upon, though, because, believe it or not, you can't really allow people championing actual terrorism within your nation without a lot of problematic consequences, shall we say. Anywho, if you do own a Tesla, buy a camera. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.